A woman begins a secret online relationship with her former teacher, unaware that he's not who he claims to be. At a high school in Budapest, purple-haired Esther sits engrossed in her manga, while her friend Audrey watches a soccer match unfold nearby. Glancing up, Audrey suddenly spots their English teacher, Mr. Benke, by a window. Smitten with him, Audrey urges Esther to join her in striking up a conversation. Though finding the idea silly, the latter eventually agrees. Using Esther's manga as a pretext, they ask him for help with some English phrases. He readily obliges to their delight. After leaving Mr. Benke's room, Audrey gushes over his good looks as Esther smiles. She's yet to admit it, but like her friend, she too is infatuated with him. That night, as Audrey lounges in Esther's bedroom, she searches eagerly for Mr. Benke's social media accounts, but is puzzled to find none. While teasing her friend for stalking, Esther secretly Googles him herself. She eventually finds his photo on the school's website and quietly saves it to her laptop. During Mr. Benke's class, he pairs students for an activity, assigning himself to work with Esther. Later, he makes a shocking announcement, revealing it's his last day at work as he's bound for London. As he bids his students farewell, Audrey storms out in devastation, while Esther fights back tears. That night, still shaken by the news, Esther decorates her wall with Mr. Benke's favorite quote. To her surprise, she later receives an email from him. In his message, he shares that he wanted to say a special goodbye, admitting that she means a lot to him. Thrilled, Esther immediately begins drafting a reply. However, when she notices that he's online, she decides to chat with him instead. During their conversation, she thanks him for the email, promising to send a lengthy reply as well. The next morning, Audrey excitedly suggests hosting a farewell party for Mr. Benke at Esther's house. Later, they call him to share the idea, and he agrees. At the party, Mr. Benke thanks the students for their support. While he and Esther chat, she mentions she started reading his favorite author's books. Their conversation is cut short, however, when other students interrupt as he tries one of her brownies. Nevertheless, he immediately texts her, complimenting her dress. While mingling with others, Mr. Benke makes a point of praising Esther's brownies. Meanwhile, Peter also compliments them, joking about naming the dog he gave her Brownie. Moments later, the teacher pulls her into the group to dance. After the party, Esther couldn't help but cry as she bathes, struggling to accept Mr. Benke's departure. Overcome with emotion, she decides to text him to confess her love. While flattered, the teacher explains that the relationship she envisions is impossible. She subsequently apologizes, while also pleading with him to stay in touch. The next day, Esther receives a surprising text from Mr. Benke. Unlike the night before, he now hints that a relationship between them might be possible despite the distance and the fact that he's already married. That night, they engage in a video chat. Only her webcam is on, but she doesn't mind. After coming up with a name for her puppy, he suddenly shifts the conversation and compliments her beauty. He then enumerates what he loves about her, including her looks and unique way of thinking. Esther is so flattered that she ends up hugging her laptop, wishing it were him instead. While having lunch, Esther and Audrey learn that Benny, the school troublemaker, was dumped by his girlfriend. Audrey celebrates, but Esther scolds her for reveling in someone else's misfortune. At school, as Esther shows her classmates a photo of her pet, a drunken Benny sneaks up, pulls down her skirt to humiliate her, and tries to hug her before others step in. Devastated, she flees to the bathroom, sobbing as she reports what happened to her former teacher. That evening, Benny's father drags him to Esther's house to apologize for the incident. This surprises her mother, Gabriella, who was unaware. Wanting to talk more about it, she invites the father inside and sends Esther to her room with Benny. To ease the tension between them, Esther offers Benny cookies and shows genuine empathy for his recent breakup. Grateful for her kindness, he opens up, admitting that the hardest part was being humiliated online by his ex. Later that night, Esther and Mr. Benke chat with their cameras off. After discussing the incident with Benny, he suddenly asks what she's wearing and requests to see it. Hesitant at first, Esther eventually agrees and turns on her camera. When Esther asks to see him in return, he claims his webcam is broken. They then end the call by expressing their love for each other. The next day, Esther sends flirtatious texts to Mr. Benke, sharing a dream about them being intimate. Playfully, she invites him to chat that night, hinting at a surprise. While on break, Esther, Audrey, and Christy rehearse for their upcoming performance at a cosplay event as Benny's group looks on. Later, Benny calls Esther, inviting her to his house for help with their upcoming math test. While she declines, she agrees to at least tutor him over a video call. That evening, as Esther helps Benny, she finds herself unexpectedly enjoying their conversation. Just then, Mr. Benke messages her, eager for the promised surprise. Distracted, she gives him minimal replies, causing him to threaten to log out. This finally captures her attention, and she abruptly ends the call with Benny. Esther apologizes to the teacher, who confesses his desperation to see her. In response, she initiates a video call with him, which takes a more intimate turn. However, when Mr. Benke becomes too pushy, Esther gets upset, prompting her to end the call. Days before, Peter found himself gazing at Esther during class until Benny interrupted him. Later that day, the awkward student joined a soccer match, hoping to impress her, but was mocked instead by his classmates. Peter's mood brightened, however, when the ball rolled to Esther, and she handed it to him. That night, he nervously rehearsed how to ask her out for an ice cream date. He hid his caller ID before dialing, but when she picked up, he froze and quickly ended the call. Frustrated, he resorted to scrolling through her social media until his mother, Christina, called him and his sister for an announcement. In the living room, Christina revealed that her boyfriend, Robert, would be moving in with them, catching Peter off guard. During the pairing activity on Mr. Benke's last day, Peter struggled to focus. While crafting an invitation note for Esther, he can't help but be jealous of the teacher's attention toward her. As he tried to slip the note into Esther's bag, Audrey stormed off after the teacher's farewell announcement, thwarting his plan. Later, Peter sneaked into the faculty room and tried on Mr. Benke's perfume, convinced it was part of what Esther liked about him. When Mr. Benke entered, Peter hid under a table, emerging only after the teacher left. Unable to resist, he returned to the teacher's bag and pocketed the perfume. The next day, Esther excitedly informed Peter that she now had 3 puppies, offering him to take one. Though shy, he accepted and agreed to pick it up with her later. Before meeting Esther, Peter styled his hair the way Mr. Benke did and practiced talking like him, hoping to impress his crush. However, she later asked him to pick up the puppy alone, explaining she had other plans. Disappointed but determined, he nonetheless retrieved the pet and brought it home. That evening, desperate for Esther's attention, Peter created a fake Google account, impersonating Mr. Benke. Using this account, he sent her a farewell email that she believed was genuinely from the teacher and continued to use it to communicate with her. To maintain the ruse, Peter imitated Mr. Benke's voice and deliberately avoided turning on the webcam. At Mr. Benke's farewell party, Peter lied to him, claiming he and Esther were now a couple, but wanted to keep it a secret. The teacher then congratulated him, admitting he would have chosen her too if he were in his place. When Mr. Benke invited Esther to dance, Peter seized the chance to sneak into her bedroom. Inside, he found her worn clothes. He took a moment to smell them before stealing a pair of her shorts and heading home. Later, while lying in bed with Esther's shorts pressed to his face, Peter received her message to the fake Mr. Benke, sent as she was crying in the bathroom. To further avoid detection, Peter later began using an app to perfect his imitation of Mr. Benke's voice. While working on it one day, Esther arrived, inviting him to walk their puppies together. During the walk, Esther mentioned her puppy's name, adding that a friend helped choose it. Knowing the truth, Peter played along, asking if the friend was actually a boyfriend. She denied it, and then asked about his love life. Wanting to impress her, he proudly claimed to have a girlfriend, adding that she resembled her a lot. Later, Esther invited Peter for ice cream. He hesitated, admitting he had no money, but she offered to treat him, saying he could pay next time. He then agreed, happy that the ice cream date he'd been dreaming of had finally happened. The next day, Peter eagerly waited for Esther to pass by his house. Hoping to spend more time with her, he grabbed his own puppy upon seeing her with her pet and hurried to the other side of the street to stage a chance encounter. As they walked their pets together, Peter gathered the courage to ask Esther out for a movie date. When she mentioned his girlfriend, he quickly claimed she was abroad. During a video chat, Peter, pretending to be Mr. Benke, steered the conversation toward himself, praising himself and subtly asking if Esther might like him. However, she asserted that her feelings were only for Mr. Benke, explaining that she preferred mature men. When he asked if she could possibly like anyone her age, she said no, though she added she'd still like Mr. Benke even if he were 10 years younger. Encouraged, he teased that a younger version of Mr. Benke might appear in their class someday. While playing video games with Peter, Benny casually mentioned finding Esther cute. He and another friend then teased Peter, joking that he'd be a perfect match for her since they shared similar personalities. Later, when Benny called Esther for help with the math test, Peter overheard and deliberately logged in at the same time they had arranged to interrupt their session. Unbeknownst to Esther, Peter secretly recorded her as she did intimate poses during their video call after she had finished helping Benny. During the math test, Esther and Benny finish early, allowing them to leave the classroom while the rest of the class continues. Unwilling to let them hang out alone, Peter soon submits his paper and follows them outside. While Benny teaches Esther basketball tricks, Peter arrives with a snack. As usual, Benny targets him, tossing the ball at him and spilling his food. Esther scolds Benny, but he shrugs it off, claiming Peter is used to it. However, while that may be true, Peter reacts differently this time. Enraged at being humiliated in front of his crush, he throws the food at Benny and shoves him before storming off. That night, Peter, posing as Mr. Benka, calls Esther again. Still upset over his aggressiveness during their previous video call, she responds coldly before abruptly ending the conversation. She then considers calling Benny but finds him offline. The next day, Peter overhears his classmates Cynthia and her friends gushing over Benny as they leave the room. Knowing Benny is competition for Esther's attention, he hatches a plan. He rummages through Cynthia's bag, takes her sunglasses, and later pretends to have found them outside as a pretext to start a conversation. He then casually mentions how she and Benny would make a great couple, which leaves her delighted. Peter then approaches Benny, apologizing for shoving him before attempting to set him up with Cynthia. Unlike her, however, he shows little interest. Inside the classroom, Peter watches with jealousy as Esther excitedly shows pictures of her pets to Benny. Frustrated, he texts her using his Mr. Benki account, saying he misses her, but she simply ignores it. Moments later, Cynthia confronts Esther about sitting next to Benny. To diffuse the tension, he offers her the seat on his other side. Later, while Audrey and Christy chat about their upcoming dance, Esther checks her phone and is surprised to find a series of messages from Mr. Benki, begging her to talk to him. Suddenly, Audrey stops mid-conversation and walks towards someone. To Esther's surprise, when she looks up, she sees Mr. Benki. After briefly chatting with Audrey, he gives Esther a quick wave before walking away. Confused, she follows him, but ultimately decides against it, believing he's upset at her. On the way to the cosplay event, Esther couldn't help but think about her recent encounter with her former teacher. In frustration, she sends him an angry text, calling him out for sending desperate messages while ignoring her in person. At the venue, still unable to shake the thoughts of Mr. Benki, Esther slips away while her friends rehearse. Once home, she calls the man she believes is Mr. Benka, chastising him for ignoring her earlier. Not long after the conversation ends, Peter seizes the opportunity to play the role of a comforting friend and shows up at her house. To his disappointment, however, she doesn't even entertain him. Noticing something is bothering her daughter, Gabriella later encourages Esther to talk, but she insists she's fine. When Benny messages, inviting her to walk their puppies, Esther quickly excuses herself and heads out to meet him. When the pair arrive at the park, they spot a dejected Peter sitting alone with his pet. Despite Esther warning Benny not to bother him, he approaches Peter anyway and, as usual, teases him. Already tired of his antics, Peter walks away without a word. Back home, Peter finds his mother and sister with their respective boyfriends, only deepening his sense of loneliness. He tries to call Esther and Benny, but neither responds. The next morning, he decides to skip school, informing his mother that he's not feeling well. Before gym class, a remorseful Esther asks her friends about the dance. Upset, Audrey scolds her for abandoning them, while Christy teases her about Benny, loud enough for Cynthia to overhear. During their run, Benny leads Esther down a shortcut and unexpectedly kisses her before running off playfully. As the students walk back to their classroom, Esther and Benny are now holding hands, essentially confirming their relationship to everyone. Meanwhile, Peter has been in bed the entire day, feeling depressed. He finally gets up when Esther messages his Mr. Benki account. To his dismay, she informs him that she wants to end their relationship, confessing she's fallen for someone else. When Peter, still posing as the teacher, deduces it's Benny, he begins criticizing him, warning Esther that she's making a big mistake. In turn, she reprimands him for being judgmental and abruptly logs off. An enraged Peter then takes the puppy Esther gave him and abandons it outside. That night, Esther and Benny share an intimate moment in her bedroom. Still consumed by bitterness, Peter soon creates another fake email account and uses it to send Esther's intimate photos to Cynthia, confident that she'd leak them. The next morning, overwhelmed and in deep distress, Peter contemplates harming himself, but is interrupted when Esther arrives with the pet he abandoned. Peter quickly claims the puppy ran off during a walk, and Esther reminds him to take better care of it. When she offers to walk to school with him, he declines, saying he's unwell. She then wishes him a speedy recovery and leaves. Later, while Peter longingly browses Esther's social media profile, Robert suddenly enters the room. Hoping to pull the teenager out of his slump, Robert opens his windows for fresh air and takes away his devices. When Benny and Esther arrive at school, Cynthia approaches them and, with a concerned tone, asks to speak with Benny privately. Finding her demeanor odd, Esther nonetheless lets them talk and heads to the classroom, where her classmates give her strange looks. Soon after, a distraught Benny pulls Esther aside. With tears in his eyes, he shows her intimate photos of herself, sent anonymously to Cynthia. Shocked, Esther explains they were taken by a former lover and insists she ended that relationship because she fell in love with him. Still, Benny couldn't help but feel betrayed, especially since he didn't think she was the kind of woman capable of doing something like that. He also expresses fear of becoming the target of ridicule at school. Overwhelmed, he decides to end their relationship. Through tears, Esther desperately pleads for another chance, but Benny, unable to forgive her, pushes her off and walks away. After composing herself, Esther returns to the classroom to collect her belongings. As she's leaving, Cynthia sneers, threatening to post her photos online. Sure enough, by the time Esther gets home, her private photos are already circulating on social media, with her classmates ridiculing her in the comments section. Devastated, she tries to email Mr. Benke, questioning why he leaked her photos. However, the email bounces back, revealing that the account no longer exists. As cruel comments from her classmates pour in, Esther responds, reminding them not to judge her as everyone makes mistakes. However, when the insults persist, all she could do is shut her laptop and break down in tears. Overwhelmed with despair, Esther sends her mother a cryptic message, asking if she'll love her forever. She then quietly heads to the bathroom and commits a tragic act. After reflecting on his actions, Peter takes the puppy to the park, hoping to make up for his earlier neglect. That evening, when he arrives home, he finds his mother, Christina, anxiously scrolling through social media. She then informs him that Esther is now in critical condition at the hospital, after harming herself following the leak of her private photos. Shocked, Peter checks the comments and is horrified by the avalanche of hateful messages his actions triggered, including one from Cynthia, cruelly wishing for Esther's death. Filled with guilt, Peter rushes to the hospital to see Esther. Upon arrival, her mother, Gabriella, embraces him, before leaving him alone with her daughter. With his heart heavy with regret, Peter sits silently beside Esther's now lifeless body. Gently taking her hand, he struggles to hold back tears, overwhelmed by the weight of his actions and a loss he can never undo.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.